Hey everyone, this is DeArmond, the creator of ChartLogic. In this lesson, we are going to get into trading with ChartLogic. If you're ready to get logical, then let's get started. Here's where we are in the ChartLogic course. We have covered so much functionality in ChartLogic in previous lessons. We've talked about the trade condition and the trade action that are used for trading, but there is a lot of functionality provided around trading that we haven't gotten into yet. We'll learn about the different ways that we can select trades and positions using the trade condition, and we'll learn about how the trade action can open and close trades, close positions, modify trades, and perform partial closes. These various actions require coordination with data coming from the trade condition, so we'll see exactly how to coordinate their features. Let's get right into it. When you're working with trades, the place to start is with opening a trade, since we need a trade to be open before we can do anything else with it. The conditions in the logic set would define your entry conditions, the things that you would want to be true in order to open a trade. This can be some combination of technical indicators, price on a chart, key levels, whatever makes sense for your strategy. You would then add a trade action configured to open a trade. We'll look at all of the settings for the trade action in a moment. Once you have a trade open, there are a few things that you might want to do with it. You can modify a trade by changing its stop loss or take profit. You can close the trade, and you can do a partial close. In order to do any of these things, you first need to select the trade that you want to effect, which means you need to use a trade condition. The trade condition will select trades based on a number of parameters. And the key thing for modifying or closing the trade is that it needs to return the order number of the selected trade. The trade action will use the order number when acting on the selected trade. We'll look at the details of how the trade condition works for how to select trades, because there are some behaviors that change depending on how you configure the condition. Finally, there is also an option to close a position. In this case, you're using the trade condition in position mode to select the position and sending the position direction to the trade action, which it will use to close the position. A position is a combination of a symbol and a direction. The trade action already knows what symbol it's running on. It just needs the direction to close a position. Closing a position means closing all trades for this symbol in the selected direction. Now let's look at how to use the trade action to open a trade. Add the trade action to the actions for your logic set. To open a trade, we'll select the Open Trade option for the action type. You next select the order type. When you click this button, you get a list of all of the order types to choose from, both market and pending orders. Select the order type you want to open. If you're configuring a pending order, then you also need to provide the open price. This row is not displayed unless you choose a pending order for the order type. The next thing to configure is how many lots. This is the order size row. You can either set a fixed number of lots, or if you click where it says lots, it changes to let you configure a risk percent. This will select a percent of your account balance to use as the risk percent for calculating a number of lots. In this case, you must also configure a stop loss, or else the trade action will fail. For both stop loss and take profit, you have some choices about how to provide this value. Click where it says none to select from the choices. You can provide the value as a distance in pips, points, or ADR, or you can provide the value as a price. For each of these fields, you can provide either specific values or you can select a named variable. Keep in mind that points is going to depend upon the symbol's points, which can be different for different symbols. Japanese yen pairs are usually 3 points, and non-yen pairs are usually 5 points, but it also depends on your broker. And if you select price, then it's specific to one symbol. Actions are not mixed or fixed in the same way that conditions are, so selecting points or price as your stop loss or take profit unit won't make the logic set fixed in the same way that a price condition does or a trade condition can. You can also select a named variable for these fields, which would be the correct distance or price depending upon the symbol. Just be aware of the differences here and select units and values or variables that make sense in your logic set. If you select ADR, then the correct ADR for this symbol is obtained when the trade action is triggered. The period for this ADR is coming from the ChartLogic inputs. It's a period of 10 by default. You would provide a value like 0.5 for half an ADR, and ChartLogic will calculate the correct price for for you. If you're using risk percent for calculating the order size, there's no option here for opening a trade without a stop loss, like we often do in position trading. If you want an order without a stop loss, then create a logic set with a trade condition that detects when you have a trade with a stop loss set and a trade action that clears that stop loss. You can also provide a trade comment here, and the text of the comment undergoes the same variable substitution that other text fields get. Okay, now that we have a trade open, let's see how to modify or close it. To select a trade that you're going to pass to the trade action, set the trade condition to trade mode. You can optionally set a symbol to make this condition fixed to a single symbol, or leave it blank to have it run on whatever symbol is associated with this thread when it's run as a mixed condition. If you're not sure what I mean with fixed and mixed conditions, then check out the previous lesson on threads. This is covered in some detail there. By default, the trade action is looking for a market order in either direction. On the type row, you can adjust these settings by changing the order type and direction. If you don't add any more fields to the trade parameters, then the trade condition will return the first trade that it finds that matches the order type and direction. Often you don't need to be more specific than this, but you can be if you like. For each of the fields displayed in the trade parameters section, you can turn them on and either provide a value or select a variable. Just like the trade action dialog, you can select the units for the stop loss and take profit fields. Using these fields, you can have the trade condition only select trades that match these settings. You could find only trades above a target percent or beyond a distance in ADR and so on. If you have more than one trade open at a time, which one will the trade condition return data for? If you don't select any fields, or if you select more than one field to filter the results, then it will return one trade that it finds that matches all of the conditions you've set, but there's no way to control which one it returns. In this case, there's no way for it to prefer one trade over another. If you have more than one trade open and you want to be specific about which one it returns, the way to do this is to select only one field to filter the trades by. For instance, select a trade that has a percent below a certain amount, like 0.5%. In other words, trades in more than 0.5% drawdown. The trade condition will find the trade that is in the greatest drawdown and return that trade. Whatever field you have chosen and test that you have selected, like greater than or less than, it will select the trade that is the farthest in that direction for that field. If you say trades with ADR greater than 0.5, it will find the trade that is the farthest in profit as a measure of ADR, as long as it's above 0.5 ADR. If you say amount less than -50, then it will find the trade with the greatest amount in loss below -50. And if two trades have the same value, then it will return the last one found that matches the condition. Once you've selected a trade, you need to decide what information about the trade you're returning. In the trade condition section, see the return row. When you click this, it shows the menu to select the fields from the trade that can be returned. When you select one of these fields, the data type for that field is shown in the row for your reference. Most of these fields are pretty self-explanatory. Pips and ADR are the distance that this trade is from break-even, positive values in profit, negative values in drawdown. Stop loss and take profit are the actual prices, not converted to any kind of a distance. Close time will be 0 for any trades that are open, and open time will be 0 for any pending orders. There's also the color field in this list, which is not a standard field. In the chart logic inputs, you can select the colors to be used for bull and bear trades. When you select color as the field to return, if the trade is in profit, then it will return the bull color, and if the trade is in drawdown, it will return the bear color. This way you can set the color of any chart objects you're displaying for this trade to the appropriate color without having to do your own tests for whether the trade is in profit or drawdown. When we're selecting a trade with the purpose of sending it to the trade action so it can be modified or closed, then the field we need to return is the order number. Let's go take a look at the trade action dialog to see how it receives and acts upon this trade. When you're closing a trade, you need the order number. You can either put a specific order number in the field, for instance, if this is a one-time bit of automation to work with a trade you have open rather than a generic strategy, or you can provide the order number as a variable, either a named variable or as the input returned from the conditions of the logic set, using the order number returned from a trade condition. The trade action needs an order number to close, and when it's triggered, it closes that trade. Very straightforward. Modifying a trade works the same way. You need an order number. When modifying a trade, you can adjust either the stop loss or take profit. Use the settings here exactly the same way as when creating a trade. For a partial close, you also need the order number. And now you need to specify the number of lots to close. This can either be a fixed number of lots, or you can calculate the number using a risk percent, just like when you were opening the trade. If you want to calculate a lot size based on a risk percent, then you also must specify a stop loss for the order size calculation. Usually this would be the same stop loss that you used when creating the trade, but it can be anything you want. For this last case, let's go back to the trade condition dialog. This is for when you want to close a position, like all trades in the same direction on a given symbol. Change the trade condition mode to position in the mode row, and optionally select a direction. Like selecting a trade, you optionally select fields for the position to further filter the results. All of the fields now apply to the entire position, not to any individual trades. Instead of an open price, you now have the position average, which is the price at which this position reaches break-even. Amount, percent, risk, swap, pips, ADR, and average are all referring to the position values. For the return values, the options are a little different from selecting a trade as well. Again, these values all apply to the position as a whole. When you're using the trade condition to select a position to close, then the field you want to return is the direction, shown here in the list. Here's the trade action dialog in the close position mode. When we select close position as the action type, then we're choosing the direction we want to close, or we're getting the direction field provided by the trade condition. When the action is triggered, then all the trades for this symbol and direction are closed. So that's it. That's how we use the trade condition to select trades or positions to act on, and the trade action to open, modify, and close trades or positions. Using chart logic, you can script complete trading strategies with its combination of technical indicators, chart data, and other conditions, and trade conditions and actions. This is the end of Chart Logic 301. In the next lesson, we'll look at how to test our strategies in the MT4 strategy tester using chart logic. Thank you for watching. Chart Logic is available in the MQL5 market. If you liked this video, please give it a like to let me know that this is the kind of content you're interested in. And if you're so inclined, you can subscribe and click the notification icon to be notified when I post new videos. Leave a comment below to let me know if I made any mistakes or if there are any features you would like to see in future versions.